no escape to reality. Open your eyes, look up to the skies and see. God will redeem you so miraculously. 'Cause 10 plagues come, then we'll go. Blood and frogs, lice and boils. Moses, you are dreaming. This could never happen to me. To me. Pharaoh, let my people go to fulfill our destiny. With the Torah we'll be free. Moses, tell your God I've just begun. My heart is hardened. The Hebrews are here to stay. Pharaoh, what animals running loose? So you wish you'd never been born.
Coming close.
Fire and ice, fire and ice. Plague of hail is coming. Days of darkness, days of darkness. We cannot see, we cannot move. Condemn this war crime fiasco. Listen here, Pharaoh, let my people go. He's done now. We will not let you go. Let us go. He's done. We will not let you go. Let us go. He's done. We will not let you go. Let us go. We'll not let you go. Let us go. Never let you go. Let us go.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. Yisrael, Yehonathan Dawid with you here on what they call the 2nd of April, 2023 of the year of their Lord. Shalom Aleichem. This is the Pehsakh edition. Let us go, let us go, let us go. I think I'll let them do that. Yeah.
No, you got good 5 You sound real good.
You know what, I just want to say this real quick before I forget. I want to talk about, I just talked to my man Kingsley. And he has a show called the Tyrone Hour that comes on Thursdays at 2 o'clock. So brother's talking about some stuff that is Torah. I know he ain't saying that, but I'm saying it. This is the Pehsakh edition of Yahweh for Hebrews, parenthetically Christians. All right. And if you want to get more detail on this, I did this unleavened bread and Passover in March 2021. I think it was around the 18th. I also did it last year. I did it last year around this time too. So every year around, look at the, I have 272 videos, so it's hard to tell you exactly which one. But look at the Pehsakh editions. I'm also going to be on Facebook actually this week, talking probably like 10-minute blurbs on unleavened bread. Passover officially begins. I'm doing it on April 4th, 6:12 p.m. because that's when the full moon can be seen. I have an app called Sky Live that helps me with that. But there's nothing better than looking at your own eyes. If you go to Google, it actually says that the full moon in its full luminance is on the 6th of April at 12:35 a.m. And if you do Pehsakh, when I'm doing it on April the 4th at 6:12 p.m., it really is at 99% full luminosity. It's not really total at 100%. So it's difficult. And the thing about this also shows how you really cannot actually tell exactly the very second of when it's full moon. It also shows you how we are at a loss for doing this properly, because it only counts in the Kodesh Eretz, the Holy Land, Yisrael, not over here in Baltimore. Y'all, we didn't have us calculate any of the appointed times from Baltimore or Los Angeles or Chicago or anywhere in the world. Paris, Rome, France, nowhere counts other than the Kodesh Land, and is Israel the Holy Land. It might be the Holy Land, but I don't believe it's Eretz Kodesh. That's somewhere, I believe, around sub-Saharan Africa. So, at any rate, we do what we can, and we are here. We're going to return to the Bimilo Otar series, which means in his own words. We're going to return to that next week. And in the meantime, we're going to do this Passover. And then I want you to follow me on Facebook for starting Wednesday. And actually, I might do Unleavened Bread again next Sunday as well. You'll know if you follow me on Facebook. Also, subscribe and support Yahweh for Hebrews Christians on the YouTube channel. Let's begin our reading on Vayikra 23, Leviticus 23, verses 1 through 3. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, the feast of Yahweh, which you will proclaim to be Kodesh convocations, these are my feasts. 6 days will work be done, but the seventh day is a Shabbat, a Shalom rest. A Kodesh convocation, you will do no work on it. It is Shabbat of Yahweh in all your dwellings." Why did I start with that? I start with that because most of our Hebrew preachers are telling us there are 7 appointed times. And they're really, if you listen to what I just read, there are 8 appointed times. The Shabbat is an appointed time. It is the foundation of all appointed times. It is the rock. All the other appointed times rest on top of that. So right here, from Yahweh's own mouth, and another thing he says, these are my appointed times, not yours. They don't belong to you. They belong to him. And they are like him, eternal. And he says the Shabbat is the first appointed time. So there are really 8 appointed times, and Shabbat is the first one. It is, and if you notice, I said this many times before, there are 7 days in a week, but in all the Torah, in the whole so-called Bible, from beginning to end, Yahweh has never given a name to the other 6 days. The only day that has a name is the 7th day, and he named it Shabbat. The other 6 days are placeholders. That's what they are, placeholders. Day 1, day 2, day 3. And they got names over the years, names from your Grecian brothers, but they didn't come from Yahweh's mouth. They're not Hebrew names. Now that leads us to this day, Abib. Likewise, just like Shabbat, Yahweh only named 4 months out of the 12. The other ones, we got those names from Babylon, from the Talmud, from our Greek brothers or whatever. The 4 months he named are Abib, Zeph, Ethanim, and Bul. Abib is the first month of the year. That's the covenant beginning of the year. He didn't create the world on Abib, but this was our new beginning. This is the new covenant. He also named the second month Ziph. The third month we call Sivan, the fourth Tammuz, the fifth Ab, the sixth Elul. Then the 7th month Ethanim. Yahweh named that because that's the month he created the world on, or to create the whole creation. Ethanim. And then the 8th month is Bul. He also named that month. Then the 9th month is Chislev. Then you have Tebet, Sibat, and Adar. So out of 4 to 12 months that he give a name to. And why is that? Because in those 4 months, those are the only months where the 7 other appointed times come in. They do not land in any of those other 8 months. They only land in those 4 months, so Yahweh gave those 4 months names. We got those other names from our lands of captivity. Now, it's important to get this one right. You see how I gave you 2 different dates. Google has a date of 4/6 at 12:35 a.m. for the full moon. Skyline app has Pehsakh starting when I'm going to do it on April the 4th at 6:12 p.m. Neither of them are accurate because it only counts from Yisrael. So we do what we can over here in Babylon. That's what we do. because Yahweh says they belong to him and we are to keep them. There's not an option on that. And it's important to get this one right, because from here you mark off your count for Shavuot. So you got to get this one right. If you get this one wrong, you're going to get Shavuot wrong, and trumpets and atonement and tabernacles. Everything is like dominoes. As a matter of fact, 3 days in, you have the wave sheaf offering. You have that date. That has to be right. So everything points to Yahweh Shua, Yahweh's Son, his outstretched arm. And he says in Psalm 40:7 that in all the scroll of the Torah, it speaks about me. And for a New Testament witness, John 5:39, Yahweh Shua said out of his own mouth, you search the scriptures. In them you think you have eternal life. They all speak to me. So everything points to him. So right now, we have, these are memorial feasts. The spring feast is like a memorial. We came out of Babylon we came out of Egypt in bondage under a full moon. Now, here we fast forward today, we need to come out of Babylon under slavery. See, heavy bondage was practice for your slavery. Because back then, they worked us, they worked a brother. You worked hard and long for free, but you came home to your wife, your family. You still was a Hebrew. The Egyptians didn't try to say they were Hebrews. They were not culture vultures. They did not come in and rape your wife and take over. You did not divide the family. Did not take you from another land. Did not make you speak another language. You was just under physical bondage. And what we have now is far worse. Slavery is far worse because it enslaved your mind and your spirit. It told it took away your language, your land. It mixed you all up. And we're just a mess. So we need to come out of slavery in Babylon. This is Egypt 2.0. So what we're doing, this is really a memorial because these things have already happened. When you get to the fall feast, those things have not happened yet. That's the next coming of the Messiah. So we do this as a memorial, and it is important. Do you not celebrate your wedding anniversary? You didn't get married every year, but you know that time's coming up, and it's a memorial of your vows with your spouse, and you keep that. I kind of have a memorial service for my son for his death. So these things are not written in stone where it's a commandment, but these are things that we do out of an emotional relationship, out of a tie that we have. Now, do you or do you not have an emotional relationship with the one who created you? If you do, then you're going to keep his appointed times. The thing about this appointed times, it says it's appointed. That means you make a dental appointment and you go at the time that you made the appointment. You don't just roll up in the parking lot and go into the dentist's office at any time and say, here's my tooth. And they don't know who you are, where you come from, what time. You go there at the appointed time for your dental appointment. You also don't have a time at 3 o'clock on Tuesday and come in Thursday at 4 o'clock. And you're like, wait a minute, your appointment was 3 days ago. You got the phone call, you got the email, you got the text. So you have to be there at the appointed times. So that's what this is. This is why it's important to count off these times. You got brothers in the camps keeping Abib without the green ears. We're going to talk about that. So let's go to Genesis 1, 14 to 16. And let's talk about these signs. Genesis 1. And it reads, let me see. Then Yahweh said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons and days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth. And it was so. Then Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule by day and less light to rule by night. And he made the stars also. Did you notice something? You probably didn't. Did you notice anything in here about the lights giving you a sign for what month it is? It is not in there. It used the word signs, which the Hebrew word is otot. Now you know what an otot is. You're driving around, you see a red octagon with 4 white letters, S-T-O-P. If you disobey that sign, you can have an accident. Or you can get a ticket. Something bad could happen, something might not happen, but that means you disobeyed the sign. So these signs in heaven are, these lights in heaven are for an otot, which is a sign. The other thing is for a moed. Moed, seasons. It means appointed time, an appointed place. So these lights in the heavens are for a sign, and they are for a appointed time. Like I said, you don't roll up into the dental office at any time you want. And they also are for a shana. A shana is a year. The Hebrew year is 364 days, not 360 days, something like that. It's 30 month days, 30-day months. So in here, in Genesis 1:14 through 16, there's nothing in there about months. That's important. Let's go to Psalm 89. Psalm 89, verses 34 to 37. This is Yehonatan Dawid here, y'all, for Christians, on our Pehsakh edition. 34 to 37 reads, "My covenant I will not break, nor alter the word that has gone out of my lips. Once I have sworn by my Kodeshness, I will not lie to Dawid. His seed will endure olam, and his throne as the sun before me. It will be established forever like the moon, even like the faithful witness in the sky." Selah. Now you know that word Selah means pause. Think about what you just read. And what we just read was the covenant that Yahweh has with Dawid, which he said he would not alter what has come out of his mouth. Matter of fact, he says lips. Today we say, read my lips. That's what Yahweh is saying. Read my lips. I ain't altering nothing out of my mouth. I have a covenant with this brother, and it's going to last like forever, like the moon, which he calls the faithful witness in the sky. Pause and think on that. Don't keep on reading and think about something else. Think about what you just read. The moon is a faithful witness in the sky, olam, forever. I want you to hold on to that. Now the word for moon is Yareach. Yareach. That's moon. Okay? I want to emphasize this. You know, Yahweh for Christians is founded on original words, original truth. And that's the hallmark of Yahweh for Christians. It's founded on Yahweh Shua. But the pillars and we're known for original words gives you original truth. So moon is Yareach. Now the calendar we should be using, there are many of them out there, is the heaven and earth calendar. Because the heaven and earth calendar uses the sun to determine the day, Hebrew word yom, and it determines the Kodesh. We call it month. The Hebrew word is Kodesh. And your astrologers, they use the word conjunction for what we would call a new moon. I'm going to clear that up because Hebrew preachers are getting this wrong. And the stars determine the Shana. Shana is what we call a year. So remember, there's nothing in the sky that's determining what we call a month. We got the moon. We're going to clarify this. Okay? So we got the Abib, which is the second witness. The Abib is on the ground. Last time I looked, the moon was in the sky. So you got something to look at going down, and you got something to look at going up. You got two witnesses. The moon, though, is the first witness. Heaven is the greater witness. You can go to plenty of scriptures, but Isaiah 55:9, where heaven is the greater witness. Moshe said this many times before. Earth is also a witness, but it's a secondary witness. Let's go to Exodus 12, 1 and 2. And then when we read in Exodus 12, 1 and 2, talking about the institution of the Pehsakh. Now Yahweh spoke to Moshe and Aaron in the land of Mizraim, saying, this month will be your beginning of months. It will be the first month of the year to you. So Yahweh is saying clearly, I'm starting a new thing. This is a new world order. You woke up before today thinking that the 7th month of the year was the beginning of the year. Well, now it's the 7th month of the year. Now this is the first month of the year. Abib. That's what he says right here. He said, now this is going to be your first, this is the new year for you. Now let's flip over a few more chapters to chapter 23 of the same book and read verse 15. And it reads, you will keep the feast of unleavened bread. You will eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I command you at the time appointed in the month of Abib, because in it you came out of Mizraim. None will appear before me empty. So it means you got to bring an offering. Don't come in here broke with your inside your pockets empty, lint. Bring something. Bring some kind of offering. Don't come in here just receiving and getting stuff like a sponge. Don't come to Yahweh like a sponge. That's what he's saying. Kick out something. Now, so you got, after Pehsakh, you got 7 days of unleavened bread. Now, isn't it interesting? Ants, bees, birds, bears, everything, all of nature recognizes the appointed times. It has discernment for appointed times. Everything Yahweh created except man. We're the only one we talking about the Final Four, who's making it to the playoffs, or opening day, who new record out or whatever, it was club. No one is looking at just having discernment for the appointed times of when his son is going to come back. For what? Judgment and deliverance. That's what happened at Mizraim. At the same time, there was judgment and deliverance at the same time. So we must have discernment for the times. Now the new moon is our heavenly witness. Now what quite often happens, you can have cloud cover that will affect it. And a lot of things. If you ever, I want you to try this really. We're supposed to be doing it anyway. At least the head of the household, the man, certainly the priest, is supposed to be watching the moon, looking for the moon. The moon is not like the sun. You open the, you know where that sun is. Even if cloud cover over, you know where the sun is. But the moon is like it dances on that horizon. In order to really follow and track the moon, you have to have a relationship. You got to have a daily routine relationship with him. And I got to confess, I do not have it like that. That moon is hard to find sometimes. Remember, it's not out there in its full glory all the time. Only a couple of days, one real day is in full glory. So it's waxing and waning. It's bopping up and down like it's like a bob, like a bob on the ocean. And it's a different place. So it's all over the place. It really takes discernment and experience. The Hebrews had a whole tribe that specialized in marking the moon. So it's not something to be taken lightly. But the new moon is a heavenly witness. Then 7 days after that, you get the Abib. That's your earthly witness. When you see the Abib, which that's nothing should block that, because you walk out into the yard, into the field, and there's a Abib right there. Because you could miss the new moon. The new moon, by the way, is zero luminosity. So you say, well, how can you see something that's not there? Well, that's why I just said you have to have a relationship. You know where it should be. As it wanes and as over the months and years, days, months, and years of you following and tracking the moon, you're supposed to know where it is. I know I don't. I'm not that good at it. I've been trying it. I got binoculars, trinoculars. I'm out there, brother. I'm sorry, I do. I got the third eye. I got all that. And it's hard sometimes to find that. So I do, right now, I'm using that SkyLive app, and it helps. That's that modern technology. But again, over here in Baltimore. It's only supposed to be done from Israel, but we're over here, so it's still, we do the best we can. But 7 days after the new moon, you get the Abib, and then you have 7 days after that, you have Passover. By that time, the Abib has 7 days to really grow, to be used 3 days after that for the Omer, the wave sheaf. Now, is this boring to you? Well, you know what? It may be boring to you, but it was important to your salvation, because Yahweh sure rose after that 3rd day and waved himself as the wave sheaf offering. You think it was important to him to get it right? But it should be important to you. This is why Yahweh made specific rules on how to follow this. Signs. Signs. Otot. Look at the signs. If you're not discerning these signs, how are you going to discern the end of the times? It all matters for eternal life. It all matters. Do not take it lightly. It's boring to you. Well, then so be it. We need to follow this, because what if Yahweh Shua got up at the 2nd day or the 4th day? It wouldn't count. Wouldn't matter. Wouldn't matter. So all things need to be done in its time and in its place. Leviticus 23:4-8. So we are going to go to what should be the keynote scripture. Leviticus 23:4-8, and it reads, "These are the feasts of Yahweh, holy convocations, which you will proclaim at their appointed times." He says appointed time. "On the 14th day of the 1st month at twilight is Yahweh's Passover." It's his Pehsakh. "And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread to Yahweh. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. On the 1st day you will have a Kodesh convocation. You will do no customary work on it, but you will offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh for 7 days. The 7th day will be a Kodesh convocation. You will do no customary work on it." So we see that the 1st day is the Pehsakh. Now the Passover is specifically speaks to Yahweh Shua. The word itself speaks to Yahweh Shua. If the children of Israel had the sermon, which they did not, they would understood that they knew it spoke to something, but that it actually speaks to the Mashiach, one greater than Moshe, who we've been teaching about here for months now. Specifically, this man is going to unleash a new world order. So I've been telling you, it's like crashing the glass onion, but it's a new world order he's kicking through, and he began that publicly on the Mount of Olives with what you call the Beatitudes. He is Moshe 2.0. Right here, he is to be sacrificed, and after that you have 7 days unleavened bread. What does that mean? No mixing. In the entire book of Vayikra, Leviticus, is all about no mixing. No mixing. That means of the doctrines of the life and all of that. This is why Yahushua, he has to come out from us. He has come out with a pure seed. A pure seed. He cannot have, don't be a mutt. He has to be a pure bread. And Miriam, 15-year-old virgin, was pure. Yusuf did not make her. Ruach HaKodesh overshadowed her. We know Ruach HaKodesh is pure. Miriam was pure. A pure virgin, young lady, young woman. And he came to that. So, Yahweh says, be clean, be Kodesh, because I am Kodesh. Now we read from verses 9-14 of the same chapter. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land which I give to you, and reap its harvest, then you will bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. He will wave the sheaf before Yahweh to be accepted on your behalf. On the day after the Shabbat, the priest will wave it, and you will offer on that day, when you wave the sheaf, a male lamb of the first year without blemish, as a burnt offering to Yahweh. Now this is the third day in. That wave sheep, Yahweh waved himself. Read the book of Hebrews. It talks about this new world order, which I call smashing the glass onion from the movie. This is a new world order. Yahweh waves himself. He was received. And this is important because this is after the day that he rose up. He is the first of the first fruits. Verse 13. Its grain offering will be 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to Yahweh for a sweet aroma, and its drink offering will be of wine, 1/4 of a hin. Now, why does Yahweh got to say made by fire? Is there any other kind of way to make an offering? Just throw it up there raw? He says hundreds of times, made by fire. I taught a lesson on that. I think I did a snippet on Facebook. How this word ish is part of the word isha, which is wife. Fire is ish. What Yahweh is saying is, this is an intimate relationship with me. You offer by fire because of intimacy. Don't you say, man, she was hot? Isn't that what you say? This is intimate language, which you don't get in English. So this is an intimate relationship, this sacrifice. In verse 14, all the sacrifices are. You will eat neither bread nor parched grain nor fresh grain until the same day that you have brought an offering to your mighty one. It will be a statute olam forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings. So here we are right here in our land of captivity. We just get in where we fit in. That's what we're doing. Get in where we fit in with this doctrine. And like I said, you keep memorials all the time. You 20 years post your graduation, you and your knuckleheads go back and hey, y'all do all those funny little what you call it, handshakes they do from the sororities and fraternities and all that stuff y'all were in. Y'all do all that, memorialize when y'all graduated. So this is a memorial that means something. So you keep your memorials, that's fine. You want to go by the grave site of your wife or whatever, that's fine. You want to memorialize your wedding or whatever, that is fine. It's not saying it's a commandment, but this is something important. It's memorializing the one who you say, who you love, who created you, who has redeemed you, and who is coming back for you. So this piece of first fruits, and that year was on Sunday. Now this year it's going to be on Friday because Tuesday night, which is really Torah, is Wednesday morning. 3 days after that is Friday. Is Friday night. So that'll be the wave sheep offering this year. Now, the moon marks the month. The word for month, I should say, is Chodesh. And the root word for Chodesh is Kadash. And it means to restore, to repair, to renew. In English, we're calling it month. In Ibarit, they're calling it Kodesh, which the root word is Kodash. And it means to restore, repair, renew. It doesn't mean 28 days later, or 29 days later, or 30 days later, or 31 days later. See, we got 4 different days to say when a new month came. But see, Torah don't have that. It has one set time. And it is Kodesh, it is not month. Now, in our KJV, they use the word month and moon the same. So we know the word for moon is Yareach. The word for a refreshing of the new, what we call month, is Kadash. And this is important. Okay? Because what it's saying is Yahweh restores the broken covenant with his bride. We are his bride. He's renewing and restoring it. It's like I said, I poured this up many times. Get a 2023 Corvette. I didn't look this one up, but when I looked up the last time, the 2022 Corvette, I think it's like $70,000, something like that. Close to it, yeah. It's like it was close to it. Get the first year Corvette, refurbished, blinged up, refurbished and made running ready. It is more valuable and costs more than the 2023 Corvette. One is new, one is renewed. The renewed one was more valuable than the new one. See, the new one, they making tens of thousands. They're making probably 1 million of them. There ain't no more 1966 Corvettes. It can't be. You can't go back to that year. All you can do is get one, refurbish it, renew it, bling it out. You cannot make it new. You can renew it. And that's what Yahweh does to the covenant. He renews. And that's what the moon is. It's not a new moon every month. That's the same moon was there since the beginning of time. So what it is this is a spiritual thing that Yahweh tried to tell you. He tried to tell you this in Psalm 89. It's a refreshing covenant. He says, read my lips. That's what he said. This is, I'm not going to alter this. This is a covenant I have. I swear to myself, because there's no one high to swear to. This is about a covenant. And the moon is a faithful witness of that covenant. It's not about 30 days later. Well, this one, was it 31 days? Next month will be 30 days. February, sometimes 28, sometimes 29. That's how wishy-washy man is. Yahweh's not like man. He ain't wishy-washy. He doesn't change up, hold up. It ain't no such thing as daylight savings time, change the times. The devil seeks to change times and laws. Seeks to change Yahweh's times and laws. So if you was born on February 28th, your age is really 1/4 the time, because every now and sometimes, if you was born on February 29th, your birthday only comes by once every 4 years? 4 years. So if you're 16, you're 4 years old technically. You just starting school. What you doing driving? See how my man laughing right here. See how silly he is? Man changes times and laws. I'm sitting here just trying to get it right for you, set it straight for you. The new moon is zero luminosity, and Yahweh uses it as the beginning point of his times, appointed times for the Passover. You have to get it right, because you get this one wrong, all your other feast days will be off. And you must know that to mark the moon, that is zero luminosity. And I spent a lot of time on that 2 years ago and even last year. I'm going to spend some time on it today. Also, if not, then I can get to it next week. Hosea 4:1. There is no truth or mercy or knowledge of Elohim in the land. You hear that? That was actually the second part of verse 4. 4:1. Yahweh says there is no truth. Let me just read the whole thing. Hear the word of Yahweh, you children of Israel. I'll let you know who he's talking to. He's talking to you. Yahweh brings a charge against the inhabitants of the land. Yahweh says, I got a charge against you. Yahweh said, I'm charging you. There is no truth or mercy or knowledge of me in the land. There ain't none. There ain't none. I wanted to read that specifically. Why? Because I want to go down to verse 6. Because most of us are misunderstanding verse 6. It's just a few verses down. What, you got tired from reading? It's just a few verses down. And what does it say? My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I also will reject you from being priest for me. Because you have forgotten the Torah of your mighty one. I also will forget your children. Why? Because you have forsaken knowledge. Knowledge of who? Verse 1 tells you it's of him. This has nothing to do about the advancement of technology. That's not a prophecy. Am I a prophet when I say this spring is going to be warmer than winter? That the days are going to get longer tomorrow and the next day? Am I a prophet? I'm saying things that are standard and known. More snow comes in winter than it does in summer. Am I a prophet for saying that? Cars, everything. Planes, trains, automobiles, all those things, we know we're going to move faster. Everything, smartphones, technology, anybody can say things are going to get faster, smarter, and better and quicker. But our so-called, a lot of our pastors and are teaching that this scripture is talking about the increasing of technology. No, it's talking about the knowledge increasing in Yahweh. It's going to happen in these last days. That's what's happening now, especially since the invention of the internet, and then it got hyped. And so around 2000s when knowledge started increasing of Yahweh. Like I said, when I was doing this in the 80s, there was no smartphone. Now you can get on your smartphone, what's the name of God? Yahweh pops up. Then in 2006, you started getting home computers and all that stuff. And then 2010, you got your smartphones. Now everybody knows everything. You get your 2 dumb thumbs out and your smartphone, and you think you know what somebody who was doing this for 43 years. You think you know what I know. You don't. You don't. So knowledge is increasing is about the knowledge of his son increasing. Let's stay to the same book. Go over just 2 more chapters. Chapter 6 and read verses 1 through 3. Come and let us return to Yahweh, because he is torn, but he will heal us. He is stricken, but he will bind us up. After 2 days, he will revive us. On the 3rd day, he will raise us up, that we may live in his sight. Continue reading. That's deep. Let us know. Let us pursue the knowledge of Yahweh. He just told us that there's no knowledge in the land. He just told us, and that was in verse, that was 4:1. In 4:6 he says, no knowledge of what? No knowledge of me, so I'm going to destroy you and your children. Now he tells us here in 6:3, so what we do to avert that? Pursue the knowledge of him. That's what he says, not me. I'm just reading what it says. Let us pursue the knowledge of Yahweh. His going forth is established as the morning. He will come to us like the rain, like the latter and the former rain to the earth. Deep. I know it probably passed over 99% of your ears out there about this. 2 days he will revive us, and the 3rd day we will resurrect. That's the same as Yahweh Shua. This is why it's important to get this right. He was in the earth 3 days, resurrected on the 3rd day. From here, a day to Yahweh is 1,000 years. So we had 2 years in the dark. Yahweh Shua resurrected. The temple was burned down in 70 AD. That was 2,000 years ago of you being in the dark. We went to slavery. You had to translate slave trade and all that stuff. We're in the dark. Now you got your computers and smartphones. This is the 3rd day that Hosea prophesied. We're in that 3rd day right now of being resurrected, of waking up. We are currently in the 3rd day. This prophecy is about us now, of this awakening of the knowledge of Yahweh. Wake up, Yisrael. Wake up. Pursue the knowledge of Yahweh. Now, while I do want to spend some time on this, while I'm saying about the zero luminosity of the moon, while I have time. If not, so what? I just paid the man the check. I'm covered up for the next 4 weeks. I'm covered. I'm just trying to get Chris over here. I'm just trying to make him laugh. But, so 1 Samuel 20. 1 Samuel 20. My man looking at it. And what I want to do is, I want to I want you to read the whole chapter, okay? Of 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel. Because I'm not going to have time to read the whole thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read verses 5, 18, 27, and 34. So 1 Samuel 20, here is verse 5. What I'm trying to do is establish about the moon being zero luminosity, not a slither like most people are teaching. Like I'm hearing all the preachers teaching that it's a slither. All right, 1 Samuel 20, verse 5, 18, 27, and 34. This is the story when Saul was trying to kill David, and David was hiding in the field. and Saul's son Jonathan was helping him out. And David said to Jehonathan, Dawid said to Jehonathan, and by the way, you see that's my two names, Jehonathan, Dawid. And Dawid said to Jehonathan, indeed, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king to eat. But let me go, that I may hide in the field until the third day at evening. Okay, so Dawid was hiding in the field for 2 days until the third day, he said. Now let's go to verse 18. Then Jehonathan said to Dawid, tomorrow is the new moon. Wow. So now here we go. We got the new moon. And you will be missed because your seat will be empty. Wow. So we got the time marker here. So he's saying tomorrow is the new moon. That was now verse 27. And it happened the next day, the second day of the month. See? So Jehonathan said tomorrow's new moon. Now on verse 27 it says the second day of the month that David's place was empty. David was supposed to be at the dinner table. But he knew Saul was going to kill him, so he didn't go to dinner. He didn't want to be served up for dinner. And Shaul said to Jonathan his son, why has the son of Jesse not come to eat either yesterday or today? See? Put this all together here. 2 days he was not at the dinner table. He was hiding in the field. We know that it was the first day of the month was the new moon. That's what Jonathan said. Shaul saying, brother wasn't here for 2 days. What's up? I know you probably in cahoots with him. You're my son and you cahoots with him. Verse 34. So Jehonathan arose from the table in fierce anger and ate no food the second day of the month because he was grieved for David because his father had treated him shamefully. So I want to read that narrative. You can read the entire thing. See if I try to sneak something in on you. To establish that the first day of the month was a new moon. David hid in the field for 2 days under darkness, and Jehonathan came to him on the third day. And there's some more that goes in there, okay? I'm trying to establish something here. So the new moon was emphatically and mathematically calculated. The sighting of the sliver meant that the new moon was 3 days over. If you see a slither, you're already late for terms of talking about identifying a new moon. It's just like the sighting of Yahweh. He didn't come out of that grave till the third day. You could have stood up there in front of that stone a whole day. You wouldn't have seen him. The second day, you wouldn't see him not until the third day. And when that round stone opened up, you saw the slither from the inside of the grave. You can see the slither coming up. This is paralleling to the death and resurrection of the Pehsakh. This is paralleling. So the feast began at the end of the conjunction. This is astrologers call it a conjunction. Okay, conjunction. And lasted 2 days under zero luminosity. Okay, so this was perfect for David to hide in the field under complete darkness. So just like Yahweh resurrected on the third day, this is just like the Hosea 6 prophecy. After 2 days, we will be hidden. And the third day is the resurrection. The resurrection of our knowledge of Yahweh. Now look, there's thousands of camps. You got Jews for Jesus. You got Christian. You got Christians. Everybody's celebrating Passover, Pehsakh, different days, different times. All the religions come together. Catholics, Jews, Shangri-La together. I mean, everybody's coming together now. This knowledge. This is marking the latter days. This observance of the slither comes from Islam. You see how they have the slither as part of their markers. The slither with the star. So that's Islam, but it's not Hebrew. So if you're looking at the slither, that's an Islamic tradition. That's what follows them. It's not Hebrew. If you go to think about trumpets, we're going to talk about trumpets when it comes up. But Matthew 24:36. You know, trumpets begins on the new moon, and it's the only feast day that begins on a new moon. And remember, a new moon is zero luminosity, so you can't even see it. You have to know it. Matthew 24:36 reads, "This is Yahweh talking, but of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. So what they're saying is really, because with the naked eye, you cannot see. First of all, you can't see a new moon because it's zero luminosity, but you don't know when that slither comes. The actual, what they call conjunction, lasts only a few minutes. The complete blackness of the new moon really technically only lasts a few minutes. That's why I tell you here, I'm going to official Yahweh for Christians, Hebrews, officially saying that Pehsakh is April the 4th at 6:12 p.m. But you could be in your rights going with Google, going with April the 6th at 12:35 a.m. You can't, with your naked eye, quite see that complete blackness. And you can't even discern the slither for 2 days. I mean, by the time you see it, the moon has been black for 2 days. So this is important. So by the time, let's go, and the moon reads just like the Torah, from right to left. It waxes from right to left, and it wanes from right to left. It reads just like the Torah. You read from right to left. Now, we're going to really break this down. The time I have left here, Psalm 81, 3 and 4. This between this word moon and month. Psalm 81, 3 and 4. Blow the trumpet at the time of the new moon, at the full moon on our solemn feast day. Because this is a statute for Israel, a law of the mighty one of Jacob. Remember, those who want to try to say you got to keep 600 plus commandments, if you want to keep all those commandments, you're supposed to blow the shofar at the new moon every month. Here it is, it's telling you even right here. For you out there who are trying to have 3 wives and 4 wives, or are you blowing the shofar at the full moon every month? No, you ain't doing that. And are you using the right kind of shofar? I know the one I blow is not the one from the animals from the Israel. You know, but if you want to be technical, then that's the wrong shofar. But you're supposed to blow it every month. It even says right here, blow it at the new moon. But then it says later here, full moon. Remember, that's in KJV, English. So let's go ahead and clear this up. The Hebrew word for new, like I said, is kodesh. It means concealed. The Hebrew word for moon is keseh. The Hebrew word for concealed is keseh. Okay? So that's what's saying here, that the moon is keseh. But in here, if you read it in English, it does not say it's covered. So the new moon is covered. It says it right here in Hebrew. You got to use original words. You got to use original words to get original truth. Yisrael. A new moon is keseh. A new moon is covered. Let me get a second witness, because you say, well, you know what, that's just right there. No, let's just go to the first time this word is ever used. The first time this word concealed is ever used is in Genesis 7:19. This is the first time. There's a law they call the law of first use. Genesis 7:19. This is the first time in the Torah that this word keseh is used. Okay? And let's find verse 19, and it reads, because I wasn't going to read this at first. And the waters prevailed exceedingly on the earth, and all the high hills under the whole heaven were keseh. This is talking about the flood. If you read the narrative, this is when the waters came down. This is Noah's flood. What the narrative says is the entire world under the heavens, it says, was keseh, covered. Now, question. Do you have any confusion in your mind whether if you was there, whether you could see anything on the earth? Do you think, no, I can see a peak of a mountain? Would you think that? Chris, would you think that? Chris said no. And I don't know if he even read this verse before ever in his life, but he said no. In his mind, he thinks that if he was there on the ark, on the ship looking, he would not see a mountain top. And he would be right. Because it was keseh. That being the case, how can you have confusion in your mind about what the moon looks like? Kese. You cannot see it. So don't teach that the slither is the beginning of the new month. It is not a new moon. It is Kese. It is covered. There is no moon. I'm saying this to the teachers of Yisrael. Don't misteach the sheeple. Don't do it. Why am I getting excited? Because this is Yahshua says, I'm not altering what comes out of my lips. This is an unchanging covenant. And this marks me. If you don't get this right, then you get the resurrection wrong and you get all the other feast days wrong. This is why I'm emphasizing it. And I ain't brand new like the new brews. I ain't just woke up because I got a phone. It's in the book. The moon is Kese. It's covered. You cannot see it. You have to have a relationship with the moon. You have to have discernment to see it. You got to follow this thing. You got to follow this thing. You got to get it right, especially if you're going to teach it. If you're learning, you're learning. So we all are learning. I tell you right now, I can't find that moon half the time myself. So we find that this is the difference between new, like I say, I try to break down to on our level. Hey, you got a 66 Corvette and you got a 2023 Corvette. Both of them are new. One of them's been refurbished and you couldn't even afford, and if you had $70,000, you couldn't buy it. You can buy a new one, 2023, but they got, your neighbor across you might have one. But how many people are going to have what you got? It is classic. It is more valuable. That's how it is with the moon. It is classic every month. It's the refreshed relationship with his bride. This is a refreshed, renewed relationship with the bride. Yahweh, he keeps covenant. He's not like us. We're the ones that hold around. He did not. My last scripture I'm going to read, and we're going to continue this. Follow me on Facebook this week. Acts 26. Talk about this light to dark. Talk about your knowledge. You new brews just woke up. Praise Yahweh for the waking up. Acts 26. Verses 17 and 18. Yahweh Shua speaking. This is Shaul telling the story about how he got knocked off his horse and woken up. Acts 26, 17 and 18. He's quoting Yahweh Shua. I will deliver you from the Hebrew people, as well as from the Goyim, the Gentiles, to whom I now send you, to open their eyes in order to turn them from darkness to light, and from the power of Satan to Yahweh, that they may receive forgiveness of sins and an inheritance among those who are sanctified by me, by faith in me. Darkness to light, Satan to Yahweh is what it says. The moon goes from darkness to light. It is refreshed, renewed covenant with his bride. It goes from darkness, Sine, covered. You cannot see it, and as you wake up in relationship with him, he gradually, the moon waxes and waxes. You get the slither, and it gets fuller and fuller and fuller. That's him refreshing the covenant. You're on the driveway waxing off that Corvette from 1966. You're refreshing it. It ain't new like it was just built. No, it's always been there. But your love affair and your relationship is refreshed, is renewed every month with him. That's how Yahweh is. He keeps covenant. His mercies are fresh every morning with us. Total Yah. Praise Yah. So please follow brother, like, share, and follow me on Facebook. I think starting Wednesday I will have another service, and then every day from that for the whole 7 days of unleavened bread. Shalom Aleichem, peace be on you. Pray for the shalom of Yisrael.
Time to get the Torah. Time to get the Torah and be free.
Wow, man, you're perfect.
The preceding